The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "The key is to keep company only with those who uplift you, whose presence inspires your best self." You've likely heard the popular saying, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." Today we're going to examine this idea through the lens of Stoic philosophy. We'll delve into the 7 types of people who can hinder your progress on the path to Stoic wisdom, and more importantly, how to navigate these challenging relationships. Before we dive in, don't forget to like this video. It means the world to us and helps share this wisdom with more people. Type of 1, the complainer. A subtle drain on your energy. We've all encountered them, the friend, family member, or coworker who never seems satisfied. Rain or shine, success or failure, there's always something wrong in their eyes. They critique the weather, grumble about their job, and find fault even in things that others might celebrate, like a meal at a renowned restaurant. Their discontent is unrelenting, and while it might seem harmless at first, over time, it can take a toll. You might think, why should their attitude concern me? I can simply tune them out. But the truth is, negativity, especially when it's persistent, has a way of seeping into your psyche. It's not the loud storm that does the damage, but the quiet drip, like a leaky faucet, that slowly erodes your emotional and mental reserves. Stoicism, a philosophy centered on cultivating inner strength and resilience, provides valuable tools to address this challenge. Imagine this scenario. You're part of a team working on an important project. Among the team members is a habitual complainer. Every meeting becomes a venting session, filled with complaints about tasks, deadlines, or even unrelated personal grievances. Over time, this negativity infects the group. Morale plummets, productivity wanes, and the project loses its momentum. Worse yet, you might find your own enthusiasm fading, not just for the project, but for similar challenges in the future. So how can the wisdom of Stoicism help? First, it's crucial to recognize that while you cannot control another person's behavior, you have full control over how you respond. Here are 3 powerful strategies to neutralize the effects of chronic complainers. Limit your exposure. Whenever possible, minimize the time you spend with such individuals. This doesn't mean cutting them off entirely, especially if they are close family or colleagues, but setting boundaries is essential. Use your time purposefully and prioritize relationships that uplift and inspire you. Mentally reframe the situation. If avoidance is not an option, practice mental detachment. See their complaints for what they are, expressions of their own struggles, not reflections of your reality. Visualize their negativity as a passing cloud or a fleeting gust of wind, unable to disturb the deep-rooted tranquility within you. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Protect your thoughts vigilantly. Redirect the dialogue. When appropriate, steer the conversation towards solutions rather than dwelling on problems. Instead of fueling their negativity, offer constructive suggestions or shift to a more neutral, uplifting topic. You might find that this not only lightens the mood, but also subtly encourages them to adopt a more positive perspective. Ultimately, Stoicism teaches us to value and protect our inner peace. Chronic complainers, while challenging, are tests of our ability to remain steadfast and virtuous. By managing these interactions wisely, we ensure that their negativity does not derail our progress or disrupt our pursuit of a life rooted in resilience, clarity, and purpose. Type of people. The drama magnet. Imagine you are navigating through life, much like a sailor steering a ship through calm seas. Everything seems smooth and your course is clear. But then, out of nowhere, you encounter the dangerous whirlpool, the drama magnet. This individual is constantly surrounded by crises, conflicts, and controversies. Their life seems like a never-ending cycle of chaos, and somehow, they always manage to pull others into their storm. At first, you might find yourself intrigued by the energy they exude. Their constant state of turmoil may seem exciting or full of passion. But, like a ship caught in a storm, you soon realize that the turbulence is not only exhausting, but also risky. Being around them becomes an unpredictable ride that drains your emotional resources. What makes dealing with drama magnets so challenging is their ability to make their problems feel like yours. They are expert manipulators of emotions, and their crises can leave you feeling involved, even if you didn't ask to be. For example, you might have a friend who is always at odds with someone in your social circle. One day it's Sarah they are upset with, the next day it's Tom. They confide in you, asking for advice, and before you know it, you're drawn into their drama, caught between two friends with whom you had no previous issues. In these situations, one of the most effective strategies is active listening with boundaries. Instead of offering solutions or taking sides, reflect back their feelings and let them speak freely. For instance, if they say, "I can't believe Sarah said that about me," you might respond with, "It sounds like you're feeling hurt and betrayed by Sarah's words." This allows you to provide emotional support without becoming enmeshed in the drama. Another helpful approach is selective disengagement. Stoicism teaches us the value of our time and energy. If a person's drama is repetitive and offers no real resolution, it's perfectly acceptable to disengage. Establish periods of time where you intentionally focus on your work, personal goals, or even just self-care. Let others know that you are unavailable during these times. Remember the Stoic wisdom: the greatest wealth is to live content with little. You don't need to be constantly available to manage someone else's emotional chaos. Instead of being caught in the endless cycle of their crises, focus on controlling your own response. Choose peace over drama and serenity over conflict. By applying Stoic principles, you can maintain your emotional balance, avoiding the constant pull of the drama magnet. Steer your life like a ship navigating toward calmer waters, leaving behind the whirlpools of unnecessary conflict. Type of people number 3, the Naysayer. Picture yourself as an architect, designing a grand structure, each detail carefully planned and envisioned. Every decision is deliberate, from the foundation to the final finishing touches. Suddenly a naysayer appears, someone who immediately looks at your design and begins to dismantle it, piece by piece. Are you sure this design will work? It's far too ambitious. Most people fail in your line of work. Their words come like gusts of wind, attempting to erode the stability of your dream, leaving you questioning your own abilities. The naysayer doesn't offer constructive feedback. Instead, they seem intent on spreading doubt. Their criticisms aren't meant to help you refine your vision, but rather to undermine it, making you second-guess every step. It's not about offering alternatives or solutions. It's about highlighting the obstacles and weaknesses, leaving no room for the possibility of success. Let's consider a real-life example. You've decided to embark on a new venture, one that excites you. You've researched thoroughly, spoken with experts in the field, and perhaps even tested the waters with a few preliminary steps. Yet, when you share your plans with the naysayer, they respond with a list of reasons why it won't work. This industry is saturated. Do you have the qualifications for this? What if you fail and lose everything? The more they speak, the more you begin to doubt yourself, and the clarity you once had begins to fade. The challenge with naysayers is that their negativity can seep into your thoughts. Over time, their doubts become your doubts, and their fears become yours. But how do you respond to this persistent shadow of discouragement, especially if the naysayer is someone close to you? One method is to shift the power dynamic by asking for their advice. When people are placed in the position of advisor, they may be less inclined to criticize directly and may even offer guidance that is more constructive. Instead of simply expressing your plans, seek their expertise and inquire about their thoughts on possible solutions. This subtle change in approach can lead to more insightful conversations and can help disarm the typical barrage of negativity. Another tactic is reframing the conversation through what's known as positive confrontation. Instead of absorbing the pessimism, challenge them with a forward-thinking perspective. For example, if they say, "You'll never make it in this career," you could ask, "What do you think would be the key factors for someone to succeed in this field?" This not only redirects the conversation, but also prompts them to think in terms of solutions rather than problems. The goal is to encourage them to shift from pointing out flaws to brainstorming how success could be achieved. Finally, embrace Stoic mindfulness in response to the naysayer's words. Stoicism teaches us the value of discernment, of recognizing what is in our control and what is not. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." When you encounter negativity, practice not absorbing it. Instead, filter out the destructive commentary and focus on what is constructive. Reflect on the message behind the criticism, but avoid letting it disrupt your inner peace and confidence. The naysayer may try to dim the brilliance of your vision, but you have the power to protect it. When they attempt to darken your canvas with their doubts, step back and remember that you hold the brush. Your masterpiece is yours to create, and no amount of external criticism can take that away from you. Keep your focus on the path ahead, remain unwavering in your purpose, and let your vision continue to flourish, undeterred by the doubts of others. Type of person number 4, the perpetual victim. Imagine life as a grand game of chess, where every player starts with the same set of pieces and the same objective: to checkmate the opponent's king. Each move, each decision, is an opportunity to strategize, adapt, and make progress, even if it means sacrificing some pieces along the way. But then, there is the perpetual victim, someone who, rather than playing the game with determination and resilience, spends their time blaming the board, the pieces, or their opponent for every failed move. In their mind, they are always in checkmate, not because of their choices or their strategies, but because the universe itself is conspiring against them. This individual lives in a constant state of defeatism, where their narrative revolves around endless misfortune, external forces, or other people thwarting their success. They may say things like, "I can't get a promotion because my boss doesn't like me," or "I can never get in shape because I have bad genes." The victim sees themselves as an innocent bystander, helpless and powerless against circumstances that are beyond their control. Now, while it's true that some individuals face genuine challenges and societal barriers, the type of victim we're discussing here is different. They do not take responsibility for their actions or decisions. They refuse to see their own role in their difficulties and use their circumstances as a crutch, an excuse to avoid growth and self-improvement. And before you know it, you may find yourself entangled in their emotional web, drawn into a cycle of rescuing them from their own self-imposed problems. Consider a scenario where you have a friend who constantly blames others for their failed relationships. Each time they face a breakup, they point the finger at their ex-partner and tell you how they were wronged. They rarely reflect on their own actions or mistakes, and each new relationship falls apart in the same way as the last. As you listen, you may start to feel drained, offering the same advice and emotional support time after time, only to see them return to the same place of dissatisfaction and defeat. The problem is, the more you engage in this cycle, the more you risk adopting a similar mindset yourself. It's easy to get sucked into the victim's story, to internalize their grievances, and to start seeing the world through their lens of helplessness. Over time, this mindset can erode your own sense of agency, and you might begin to question your own ability to change or improve your situation. So what can you do when faced with a perpetual victim? Stoic philosophy teaches us the importance of setting boundaries and protecting our inner peace. While it may seem compassionate to offer endless advice or try to fix their problems, this approach can ultimately drain you and reinforce their victimhood. Instead, consider adopting a stance of compassionate detachment. This means you can still offer a listening ear and show empathy, but without becoming emotionally enmeshed in their struggles. In addition, one effective strategy is to help them shift their perspective by encouraging accountability. Rather than just listening to their grievances, gently challenge them to consider what role they might have played in the situation. For example, if they say, "I never get the job I want because they just don't see my worth," you could ask, "What do you think you could do differently to improve your chances? Is there a skill or experience that you could develop to make you more competitive?" This not only shifts the focus from blame to action, but also helps them realize that they are not helpless. They have the power to change their situation. As the Stoic philosopher Epictetus wisely said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." In the same way, peace of mind does not come from controlling external circumstances or the behavior of others, but from taking control of how we respond to them. The victim may always try to pull you into their narrative, but it's crucial to remember that their story is not your story. Marcus Aurelius also reminds us that the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. When you resist being drawn into the victim's drama, you're not only protecting your own mental and emotional well-being, but also setting an example of personal responsibility and resilience. In the game of life, the perpetual victim always plays the same losing hand, blaming the world for their misfortunes. But you, as a player of the game, have the opportunity to make different choices. You can strategize, adapt, and move forward. Life is not a game of passive submission, but one of active participation. Each of us has the power to reshape our own story. Don't let someone else's narrative of helplessness dictate your own. Play your part with strength, wisdom, and self-awareness. Type of 5, the Toxic Positivist, when brightness overpowers reality. Imagine you're trying to navigate through a stormy sea, struggling against the winds and waves, trying to reach a distant shore. Then, amid your struggle, someone from the shore yells out to you, "Don't worry, just think happy thoughts, and everything will be fine." This person, with an unfazed smile and endless sunshine, doesn't acknowledge the storm, the waves, or the turbulence you're experiencing. They simply urge you to stay positive. While their words may seem uplifting on the surface, they fail to consider the reality of the situation. This is the essence of a toxic positivist. They often present the world through rose-colored glasses, downplaying the hardships and struggles that we all face. To them, pain, sadness, and discomfort are merely inconveniences that can be swept away with a positive mindset. They dismiss the legitimacy of your emotions, often without malice, but out of an inability to cope with life's complexity. Imagine you're grieving a loss, or you're in the midst of a personal crisis. The toxic positivist might chime in with a smile. "Just think about all the good things in your life." At first, you may appreciate their well-meaning optimism, but over time, you might feel that this relentless positivity dismisses the real struggles you're facing. It's like being told that the pain you're feeling isn't valid, or that it's somehow your fault for not thinking happy enough. What's missing from this viewpoint is the acknowledgement of life's full spectrum. In a garden, there are both beautiful flowers and pesky weeds. A healthy garden doesn't thrive by ignoring the weeds. It grows by recognizing them, addressing them, and ensuring they don't choke the life out of the flowers. Likewise, a balanced emotional life doesn't ignore sadness, anger, or disappointment. Instead, it allows space for these emotions, knowing that they too play a role in our growth. So, how can we navigate this challenge with a Stoic mindset? One key approach is to recognize that emotional authenticity and positivity aren't mutually exclusive. You can be grateful for what you have while still grieving or feeling discontent with what you're going through. Acknowledge the complexities of your emotions and don't force them into a mold of pure optimism. You have the right to feel the full spectrum of human emotion, and doing so doesn't mean you're failing to stay positive. It means you're engaging with life honestly. Moreover, when confronted with a toxic positivist, try not to succumb to the pressure of suppressing your feelings. Instead, gently redirect the conversation to allow room for a more nuanced perspective. For instance, if they say, "Just focus on the good things," you might reply, "I appreciate the reminder, but right now I need to process this difficult situation. It doesn't mean I'm ungrateful, it just means I'm human." This approach helps assert your emotional boundaries while respecting your own emotional process. In the words of the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." But quality here doesn't just mean positive thoughts. It means thoughts that are true, grounded in reality, and aligned with your values. So, the next time the toxic positivist pushes you to disregard your true feelings in favor of an unrelenting smile, remember that true happiness lies not in pretending that everything is perfect, but in embracing the complexity of life, with both its joy and sorrow, its sunshine and rain. Type of 6, number 6, the manipulator. Taking back control of your life. Imagine your life as a movie. You are the director, with a clear vision of where the story is headed. But then enters the manipulator, the unseen force that slowly starts altering your script, nudging your actions for their own benefit. They use tactics like flattery, guilt, or subtle persuasion to steer you off course, making you question your own choices. A common example might be a friend who always manages to get you to pick up the tab, saying things like, "You're doing so well. It would mean so much to me if you could help." Over time, you may find that your generosity is being taken for granted, but calling them out feels uncomfortable because they've positioned themselves as needing help. To counteract this manipulation, one useful technique is fogging. This involves acknowledging the kernel of truth in what they say, but refusing to be influenced by their emotional appeal. For example, if they claim, "You're so successful, you should pay for dinner," you could respond, "Yes, I'm doing well, but I'd prefer to split the bill as usual." Another critical strategy is setting strong boundaries. If the manipulator pressures you to do something uncomfortable, like lending money or making commitments you don't want, simply say no. Keep your tone calm but firm. "I can't lend you money, but I'm happy to support you emotionally." The Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us that we can't control what happens to us, but we always control how we react. Manipulators thrive on our predictable responses, our guilt, kindness, or desire to please. By changing how you respond, you regain control over your own narrative. Remember, you are the one writing your life story. Don't let anyone else hold the pen. Type of 7, number 7, the time drainer, a life in chaos. Imagine your daily routine as a finely tuned orchestra, each task or responsibility playing its part to create harmony. But then enters the time drainer, a disruptive force that screeches in off-key, drowning your symphony in chaos. The time drainer isn't necessarily malicious. They might seem harmless, even well-meaning. It could be that colleague who interrupts your productive day with trivial questions, or a friend who invites you to too many events, making you feel obligated to attend even when you're overwhelmed. At first, it may seem like small disturbances, but over time, these interruptions can undermine your focus and drain your energy. How do you protect your valuable time from this subtle intrusion? One method is the Pomodoro technique, a time management approach where you break your work into 25-minute intervals, followed by short breaks. During these intervals, set a clear boundary, no disturbances allowed. This ensures that your most productive moments aren't wasted by distractions. When dealing with social time drainers, remember, it's perfectly fine to say no. You don't owe an elaborate excuse. A simple, "Thank you for the invite, but I can't make it," is enough. Saying no is not rejecting the person. It's prioritizing your own needs. In the wise words of Seneca, a well-lived life is long enough. Stoicism teaches us that time is a precious resource and should be treated as such. It's the foundation upon which we build our life's work, and we must be careful with how we invest it. In the grand orchestra of your life, make sure each note contributes to your greater purpose. Don't let the time drainer throw your rhythm off course. Keep your focus, play your role, and ensure that every moment adds to the symphony of your personal growth and success. As we reach the end of this exploration, remember that self-awareness is key. It's easy to spot these time-draining behaviors in others, but the real challenge is to look inward. Are you, perhaps unknowingly, the one draining someone else's time with unnecessary distractions or obligations? Stoicism teaches us that true fulfillment comes from both understanding the world around us and mastering ourselves within it. If this conversation has sparked any new insights or prompted some self-reflection, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your experiences in the comments, and let's create a space for meaningful exchange. Until we meet again, may your actions reflect your core values, may your choices be guided by wisdom, and may your life become the masterpiece you are destined to create.